Alright, so I'm making this video through divine guidance for all the individuals who had a higher calling, and you may have avoided it because of the unknown and it being unorthodox, and you finally answered your calling. Okay, it's probably going to be the same for all of us. Like, the path may be a little different, but the lessons are going to be the same or whatever. And this usually comes from you hoping, wishing, praying, meditating, yearning for a new reality, because your old reality or whatever reality you're in is not fit for you. It's not in alignment with your soul. It's not in alignment with your desires. And you have been trying your hardest to figure out how to manifest what it is that you want. You try to take control of the wheel many times, and it feels like you continuously get backed into a corner. You probably get depressed. You get frustrated. You feel stuck or whatever. And you ask God, you ask your angels, your ancestors for guidance, and then you get that call, that okay, that nudge that keeps coming, it don't go away, and it's giving you directions on what you need to do, but you're afraid, okay, because you never did this before. But anywho, this video is for you. So anyways, I actually had my spiritual awakening in 2018, but I'm not going to talk about that. I want to get straight to the point. So I've always wanted the free time and the financial freedom to pursue my dreams, okay? And I had good reasoning for it, so I could nourish my gifts and talents and start using them to help raise the consciousness of mankind. I still wanted to I knew I would earn money from my gifts and talents, but I didn't want to rely on just using my talents to earn money. You know how a lot of people have their talents and they turn it into a business, they market it and things of that nature, and that's the only thing they do. They have to rely on that to get followers, to get sales and things like that. I didn't want to do that, even though I know that it will come with it. I didn't want to rely on that, and I also didn't want to work a 9-to-5 job, and I did not want to have to keep running my business as well. I had a trucking company and I made $250,000 a year. I had a company for about 6-7 years, and I was making good money, but the sacrifice was my time. I was always working. I'm talking about, I ran my truck about 5 to 7 days a week, almost every week, and whatever time I had off, I would try to work on my gifts and talents, but I was either sleeping, spa days, taking care of myself for my mental health. I would try to go to the gym as well, and I would also try to make time for family. So you can already see where that's going. So literally my dream life just resided in my mind. It would be in my imagination. I would think about it all the time, hoping, wishing, praying, yearning for some type of opportunity to just come where I would just be free to live the life that I wanted to live or whatever. Now, in the midst of that, I was trying to do things to go in that direction. Like, I was planning on relocating my business so I could actually start doing acting classes. That's one of my talents and things. I was going to relocate to Georgia, not Atlanta, but Georgia, because I didn't want to live directly in Atlanta, and I'll start making moves towards that. And then I was also taking time off of work to take classes, and I would get frustrated because it's like trying to do both just wasn't working. So this is the higher calling, right? So I am into spirituality, you know, whatever your belief is. Some people, they're more religious, so they quote scriptures, which I do that as well. So I use tarot cards, oracle cards, crystals. I do rituals, and I do spell work, you know, things that are in alignment with my soul, which you do what you have in alignment with your soul, right? But anywho, I just remember, like, I had been through like 3 long-term relationships that did not work out. I had left a marriage of 12 years, and I was in another relationship that lasted 4 years, and he was actually my soulmate. And then I went to another relationship after that, didn't work out, and that only lasted 1 year. So I had came to the realization, like, hey, these relationships didn't work out. Like, why am I like still like living the way I'm living? You know what I mean? So anyway, I was like, I need to do what I need to do for myself. So that's when I was like, man, I really want to pursue my dreams. Like, how am I supposed to do this? And that's when the Most High, the universe, came and said intuitively that you have to walk away from your business. You have to let your business go. Now that calling came a couple of times, 3, 4, 5 times, and I just was not heeding it. I ignored it because I'm like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to really thrive if I'm not working? You know, like, how am I going to make money? I was like, trucking, this is the most money I've ever made with anything I've done. And I said, what else? Where am I going to go that's going to pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever? But God was telling me the same thing. The universe was saying the same thing. You have to let your business go. So anyways, I just remember going on with my life and still being frustrated because it wasn't the life I wanted. Okay, and this is how you get the higher calling. Like, you yearn for more, and you feel it in your soul, like, you know, you're destined to be famous or wealthy, or to have good health, to have a better life, or to have this type of relationship. You know what I mean? You just know it, but you feel stuck. You feel stuck in the reality you're in, and it's not appeasing to you, and it's redundant, it's boring, it's repetitive, and it's just like you're not growing. You literally feel stuck, and it's like your soul is outgrowing your environment, environment and you want more, and then it's like you've had this heavy feeling and you have to literally force yourself to get up and keep moving, like to get up and go to work. I had to force myself to get up and run my business. I could see and tell the difference. Although I tried to continue to remain optimistic, I was using different techniques to remain optimistic, but still it was still that feeling of I'm just tired of being here. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of not living the life I feel like I desire. It's this, I just don't, none of this stuff is working out or whatever. That's when you're going to get your call, okay? But anyways, every direction I would try to take, which was the opposite of what the universe, my angels, God was telling me to do, was not working out. It was roadblocks. If it wasn't a physical roadblock, it was a mental roadblock. And it was like I was get more and more and more frustrated. It was like I was fighting with my own self, getting in my own way, because I didn't want to take that path or whatever and to walk away from my business. But that's it. That's the only thing, walk away from my business. And I had no idea what was to come next or how I was going to do this or do that. So anyways, right, there's always a reason for something. One day, and I'll never forget, it was May 2022, and this is when the calling came yet again, maybe like a 5th or 6th time. I just remember like trying to book freight, what you do in trucking. I used to book my own freight. Nothing was going through. And I was like, what's going on? Then I walked around in my truck to begin a pre-trip to check the engine to make sure I had no leaks and things like that, that all the fluids were topped off or whatever. And I just heard this voice say, don't go back to work. And I was like, what? Don't go back to work? What do you mean? Don't go back to work. So I just remember like, am I going crazy? Is this what I'm being guided to do, going back to work? I mean, that was what I was guided to do, to walk away from my business, but it just came or whatever. Now, the weekend prior to that, I remember having a rough day in business, and one of the last things I said to myself, which was a huge wish, if I have to fight so hard for something, it should be for my dreams. I do remember saying that, and I meant it with everything. I said it from the chest, okay? But anyways, little did I know what had been conspiring behind the scenes that I didn't know about. So anyways, that came, and I was like, okay, I need a sign. So I continued to do my pre-trip. And then some said check the inside tire, because I checked the outside tires, and I do check the inside tires, but I went to go check the inside tire on my tractor. These are brand new tires, fairly brand new. The inside tire was blown to shreds. Like I'm talking about, like Freddy Krueger took his claws and, you know what I'm saying, and he just knifed up all my tire or whatever. And that's when I heard the voice say, do not go back to work. And I also had an inner knowing that if I was disobedient to that inner guidance and went to work, I was going to be forced out of work. Like my truck was going to break down on the side of the road where it would not start again. Like I just had this knowing. But anyway, so I was obedient. And so I was like, okay, so you gonna feel like you going crazy. Like, okay, this inner guidance is telling you to do something that is completely against societal standards. Okay, you're gonna stop going to work. How are you gonna pay your bills? How are you gonna take care of yourself or whatever? So that's what I did. So 3 days in, keep in mind, it's really, the lessons are really, the struggle and everything is internal. A lot of the stuff is mainly internal. While everything outside of you, your circumstances are falling apart, the battle is going to really be within, okay? That inner dialogue, and then trying to hear the universe, hear God, hear your angels speak to you or whatever, to give you the guidance or whatever, and just trusting, having so much faith or whatever. So anyways, I stopped going to work. Now I was already living in my semi truck. Now 3 days into this, right, I just remember being guided to do a reading, like a tarot reading. It just popped up on one of my algorithms, and I was like, I was drawn to it. So I listened, and something stood out to me, and it was talking about a spiritual inheritance that I would receive or whatever, which I had already knew, and I had seen signs of it, but I wasn't for sure. So I got excited, like, okay. So it was like I got a little sneak peek of what was to happen. Basically, okay, this is metamorphosis. I'm quantum leaping into my new reality, and right now I just entered the vortex. I gotta let everything fall apart, and I have to go through literally a DNA reconstruction so I can be ready to receive this blessing and be the highest version of myself, or a better version of myself, or a version of myself that can receive this manifestation, because it was going to be life changing. I said, okay, God, okay, universe, okay, ancestors, okay, angels, y'all finna to give me what it is I've been asking for, but I gotta do this work. This is the work, and this is the path or whatever, the chosen path. This is the divinely orchestrated, unorthodox path, the unknown path. So anywho, I just remember being excited, and I had told like my sister, and I had told one of my friends who I used to date, we were friends or whatever, and he was in trucking too. And let me tell you something, like when at first they thought I was joking, and when they seen like a week had went past and I did not move my truck and go to work, because that's what God said, do not move your truck, do not move your truck, and I didn't move my truck. They started going ballistic, like, oh my God, I'm talking about saying I was crazy, I needed to go to the mental hospital, I need to go back to work. I mean, it was a totally different side of them I had never seen before. And they had called, other family members and stuff, and like my mom and was scaring her or whatever. So fast forward or whatever, I stuck to the plan. I did exactly what I was guided to do, and it was, oh my god, bill collectors was calling, everything fell apart. My business account closed. I only had my personal account. All the money was gone out of it. Like, I had literally $6 left in my name, and that was the first face of like the reality of what I was doing. And I just remember saying, okay, I drove up with my last $6, not knowing how I was going to eat. And I just remember, talking to the universe, God, my angels and ancestors, saying, like, I'm on this path, and y'all said I was going to be fine. I said, I don't have no but $6 left. I'm just going to go and spend it. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I got this idea to call my brother, not to ask for money, but just to tell him what was going on. Like, I have a great relationship with my older brother, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, like a couple of weeks, and I don't even know why, but we hadn't talked. So I just called him and I started venting, like, yeah, I always wanted to pursue my dreams, and I got a call in to walk away from my business, and that I was going to receive this spiritual inheritance or whatever. And I was like, and I had told such and such, and they all against me and stuff, and I feel alone, but it's all good. I'm gonna keep moving forward. And all of a sudden, I just heard him get so excited. He was like, he knew it. He had a dream too. That was a sign. He said he had a dream too, or whatever. And while he was talking to me about the dream, I heard cha-ching or whatever, and I'm not used to that sound or whatever, cha-ching or whatever. And I look at my phone and I see a dollar sign. I'm like, what is this or whatever? It's a cash out symbol. Now, I'm used to sending money out all the time. I was always the go-to person, always giving and helping. I barely had any reciprocation. But anyways, I seen that, and I seen that my brother had sent me $500, and I was like, what? And I was like shocked, and I was excited. He was like, yeah, we in it. This is a dual manifestation. He was just like, the angels and ancestors came to him, and he said he had, I already knew he had did something similar the year prior. He walked away from going to work, and he actually has a wife and kids, 10 to be exact. And he had the same call, and I don't even know why I didn't remember that. So it's like, oh dang, so we both doing this. So my brother ended up helping me for about 7 months as he could, and then it came again to a crossroads. I didn't know how I was going to get through everything, because I wasn't working. Like, I had no income whatsoever coming in. And by this time, it's stuff that's due. They coming to repossess everything. And I'm sitting on my ex lot or whatever, because he was cool at first until I decided to go against societal norms and the standards and what he deemed appropriate or whatever. It was making him boil up. But anyways, I ended up moving out of my semi-truck, and because he was harassing me so bad, I ended up moving out of my semi-truck and living in my Jeep. Now, my spiritual team was telling me to stay in that semi-truck, but it was so bad and chaotic with his energy and the things going on where I was parked at, that I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I just got in my Jeep, and I just lived in my Jeep, me and my cat. I grabbed what I could. I continued to follow the inner guidance or whatever. So, God, the universe, angels was guiding me to do things, and I don't want to get into all of that because it's so much, and I'm gonna write a book on it. It was just so much. But anyways, I made it in a Jeep for about another 6 or 7 months, and then it ended up getting towed. My Jeep got towed or whatever. They were trying to get that Jeep for a minute or two, but I made it about 5 or 6 attempts where they tried to tow it before they actually got it. But again, I was safe and I was protected. So I ended up coming to, and I didn't want to come live with my mom and her husband because I don't like her husband, but my angels and ancestors was telling me just to come here. You're safe and you're protected, and I have been provided for or whatever. But it's like the journey is like, when you got to work for these manifestations, you got to work for you. This is some extreme preparation, because when I came back home, first I had to get over my pride and my ego, because I knew that family was going to be talking, and it was just going to be, and that's exactly what happened. My fears basically became my reality. My siblings were calling me crazy. They was gossiping. They was talking about me. And my mom was cool though, and she stood her ground because she knows I'm very talented and she believed in me. But her husband, let me tell you, oh my God, he has been the worst ever. I'm talking about the biggest challenge, and I know that is God sent and orchestrated, because it's going to be other people like him that I'll have to deal with on a higher scale. So if I can't deal with him here, how am I going to have my manifestation and deal with it, publicly? But it's just been challenging. So I have had signs, inner guidance, dreams let me know I'm on the right path to keep moving forward, and that the manifestation is going to happen. And what I've learned on this journey is, one, to have an abundance and a numerous amount of faith, dedication, determination, and perseverance. I have always been protected and safe and provided for. And when God, your angels and ancestors say you're safe, it has been so many things that people have tried to do to deter me from this path, from this calling, because it's unusual, because they've never seen it, because they don't feel or agree with it. They don't feel like it's right. I kept going. You know what I'm saying? I had to control my energy within. Anytime circumstances were not favorable, when it was going against the grain. And I'm talking about, I had to use my gifts and my talents, my spiritual gifts and my actual talents, to help bring me peace, to bring me back to center. I would meditate, affirmations, I would journal, I would script, I would take walks in nature. I was in nature a lot. Music, I was dancing. Everything that I had learned along the way before I started this journey, I started utilizing on this journey, and it has been intense. And the thing about it is that I did all of this without seeing any tangible results. Just an inner knowing and this higher knowing that everything is working out in my favor behind the scenes. So I'm going to end this here because I just know, like, look, you're not alone. If you're on that unknown path and you're doing things that you normally wouldn't have done, and God said this is the path, the universe, angels, ancestors, whatever you identify with, just trust that path, trust the timing, trust yourself, stay rooted in your faith, stay dedicated, keep persevering. You are always going to be safe. It doesn't matter like who's against you, who's trying to deter you off your path, who's sending you negative energy. That don't matter. You're very strong, you're powerful, and it's necessary because you're going through this so you can detach from the worldly consciousness, from the things that we were programmed to believe was success. Okay, from the things that had us trapped in our minds, trapped in our ego, trapped in our day-to-day living, and not realizing what we were sent here to do, to live, to love, to grow, and to share our knowledge and to share our gifts with the world, and be so attached to working ourselves into a grave or whatever. We need to answer the calling and to do based on what's in alignment with our soul. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, I hope you find this video. I hope it motivates you. And if I have anything else that we should talk about, which I do, I'll make another video on it. Love you guys. Bye.